Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. My name is Caroline Chang, the host and producer of Awake to Oneness Radio. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Now, ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching us the truth of oneness for eons, but now science is teaching us the same thing. And it isn't new science, it's quantum physics. It's the science of quantum physics that inspired my awakening to the universal truth of oneness. Today, I have my guest, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. And I thank you, Dr. Jill, for being my guest.
Caroline, I'm so happy to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I first heard of your work from an astrologer I follow. Her name is Pam Gregory. She is an expert astrologer, but not only is she an expert astrologer, she teaches much of what I teach, as well as the universal truth of oneness, that we're all one, and also how important our emotions are. So she mentioned your TED Talk. And this was late last year. And I watched that TED Talk. And I was like, she experienced the oneness, because I love inviting guests of all walks of life, scientists, artists, musicians, whoever has that understanding that there is truly no separation, that we are one. Because my mission, that I would like to inspire people to understand, that there's no need for war. There's no need for violence, because we're all one. And when you hurt another person, you're literally hurting another aspect of yourself. Now, I know your first book is My Stroke of Insight. I hope I said that right. And then your new book is Whole Brain Living. So please, Jill, share with our audience your journey.
Beautiful. So first of all, thank you for the work that you're doing, because, so many of us, we are wired to have an individuation. I am Jill Bolte Taylor. I have identity. I have likes and dislikes, and I am separate from the whole. But that's only because there's a group of cells in my left hemisphere that define me as such. And my journey was that I grew up to study the brain because I have a brother who would eventually be diagnosed with the brain disorder schizophrenia. And he was the closest thing to me that existed at a biological level. But he and I would walk away from experiences having had completely different perceptions of reality. So I became fascinated with, well, what is real? What is reality? Why? How can his be different from mine? So I grew up to become a neuroanatomist, an anatomist of the brain. And I was teaching and performing research at Harvard Medical School. And I woke up one day and at the age of 37, was experiencing a major hemorrhage in the left half of my brain. And over the course of 4 hours, I could not walk, talk, read, write, or recall any of my life, but I got to watch through the eyes of a neuroanatomist each of these circuits go offline one at a time. And it was fascinating. Through the eyes of a scientist, it was fascinating. But then when I awoke later that afternoon, I was completely an infant in a woman's body. And my left hemisphere and all that it does had gone completely offline. And I became big as the universe, no boundaries of where I begin and where I end, because that goes on in the left hemisphere. Me, the individual, she died that day because the definition of self was in the left hemisphere. And instead, I perceived myself to be a big ball of energy, literally big as the universe, no boundaries, and a part of all that is. And in that consciousness was this incredible sense of peacefulness, and a deep inner love. But I didn't die that day, right? I didn't die that day, but I became that oneness that you describe. And because I didn't die, it was like, well, do I make the effort to try to recover, or do I just kind of remain in this state of blissful euphoria for, as a vegetable, as we would define me from the external world?
Right.
Or, what do I do? And it was like, so I made the conscious decision to try to help people realize and understand that at a neuroanatomical level, we are wired at the level of our brains to have this experience of blissful euphoria in the consciousness of our right hemisphere. But in our society, the societal norm is the focus on me, mine. I am an individual. Here's the boundaries of where I begin and end. I have to take me and put me in the social norm, which is all about judgment of right and wrong and good and bad. In losing that part of myself, I gained this other piece of who I am. And then it took 8 years for me to consciously rebuild the circuitry and the cellular health of all those skill sets so I could go back to living more or less like a normal human being in the external world.
Wow. And I love your TED Talk is amazing. And there will be a link to that TED Talk below in the description of this conversation. But it was you explained it so beautiful and just now, and when you did the TED Talk, that understanding that there is no that's what I learned with quantum physics. Quantum physics teaches us that everything is energy. That energy is the same energy is interconnected and interdependent. There truly is no separation. And that was the key to my awakening. I'm like, wow, if everybody tomorrow morning could wake up with this knowing that we are not separated, that would cure all of our problems. There would be no more crime. There would be no more war. There would be no more violence. That would just, so listening to your TED Talk, it was just amazing. And I was like, I have to have you. But it's so true what you're sharing here, because it is that society teaches us that we're separate. Yeah. That's what but when we wake up and realize we're not. So yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just society. Society is established by the concept that I am an individual.
Right.
So because at a cellular level, there's literally a group of cells inside the left hemisphere that says, I am Jill. Jill is my name. I like certain colors. I live at this address. This is my phone number. And these are my likes and my dislikes. And this is my academics. And this is all my family. And it's me, 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 me. Yeah. So the construct of me, the individual, is actually wired at the level of our brain. So it is normal. It is normal and healthy for me to have that construct. But the value structure of me, the individual, is different than the value structure of we, the collective whole. Yeah. And if I'm wired for both, but I put myself and my ego as separate from the collective whole, then all my values are about me. I want more. I want this. I want that, and me, versus, well, if I make this decision and I choose to behave this way instead, and I actually care about the relationship that we as humans have with one another, right. and I care about the relationship we humans have with this planet, right. because it's the only one we've got. And we actually do have this symbiotic relationship with all life, whether be it plant life, animal life, microbial life, electrical life. I mean, everything. Yeah. When I am a part of all of it and I realize I'm a piece, an important piece, we're all an important piece, an important part of the whole. But when I come through the value of the whole versus the value of the me, then I behave completely differently.
Yes, very true. I talk about it like that ego consciousness, and it's for ego, because ego gets a bad rap, but we need our ego.
Absolutely.
We totally need our ego. So that ego gets a bad rap. But for me, and this is how I've explained it to people, I now, since I'm awake to the truth of the universal oneness, I live from what I call my heart, meaning the whole. I live from there, and the ego I know is there to protect the me, this me, and to help me plan my day. I need that ego. So
Yep.
we need the ego. It shouldn't get a
Yeah.
bad rap. But I try to say to people, try not to allow your ego to take control of
Right.
of your life experience. If you live from your heart, you're going to have that expansive, you know, caring for all of humanity and like
Right.
all of life form, like you said. And when you just live by that ego, it's just me, 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 me. I don't care
Right.
about the rest. It's just me, 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 me. So yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So in my language, your heart consciousness is the consciousness of the right hemisphere,
yes,
because the right hemisphere is the consciousness of the collective whole. And you're absolutely right. We have to have an ego.
yes,
We have to have the ego in order to be a functional human being in the external world. Otherwise, we're just floating around in blissful euphoria, and, that's not very productive.
right.
So there's actually a wonderful book called The Master and His Emissary.
Mhm.
And this is by Dr. Ian McGilchrist. He is a psychiatrist in the UK. And the book is really all about the consciousness of these two hemispheres. When I function as the left hemisphere, the world becomes a sum zero, winners and losers.
Right.
But the master should be the consciousness of the right hemisphere, that consciousness of what you call your heart consciousness,
Yes,
because that's the intention of the we. And when we come from that as the master, and then the emissary is this magnificent ego that we have constructed inside of our own brain, so we can go fulfill the desires and wishes and of the whole.
exactly. Exactly. Because actually, because we, each one of us is such an integral part of the whole, when we do take care of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually, the whole, when we take care of ourselves, we're actually taking care of the whole, so it's integrate, so you want good health, you want to take care of yourself. That's important, because in doing that, you are actually taking care of the whole at the same time.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this internal conflict between the me versus we,
Yes.
but we're a me and a we. We're a we and a me. And so how do I use the me to support the we? And if I do that, then all of humanity benefits, and we can evolve to that next level of total integration of understanding we are the life force power of the universe like none other. And it's magnificent. And what a magnificent tool when we have the ability to choose moment by moment who and how we want to be in the world based on what value am I actually functioning on at this moment in time.
Exactly. And I truly believe, and I mentioned this before we got started recording, I truly believe that we are living in amazing times right now. In 2024, I believe humanity is at a crossroads, at that crossroads where many of us are waking up to that universal truth of the oneness, because like I said, spirituality, ancient wisdom, and science are now telling us the same thing. And so now it's like humanity is growing up and evolving to this higher consciousness level. And I believe we're right in the midst. We're living in amazing times. I really do. This is me. I call it the humanity's great awakening. I've been using that term for the past 4 years, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive. And spiritually, I believe we all chose to be here at this
Mhm.
time. So please share more about your new book, The Whole Brain Living. So,
Well, whole brain living, just what it does is, first of all, it looks at the anatomy of the brain.
mhm,
For those of us who don't understand the concept of the we, and I'm an individual and I'm separate, and what the heck is Caroline talking about as far as a one? I don't get it. I don't feel it. I don't know it. All I know is I need to put food on my table for my children, right?
Right.
So there's different parts of the brain that do different things, and each hemisphere has an emotional system, and each hemisphere has a thinking system. And it is the basic difference though between these two hemispheres is the right hemisphere is right here right now. It's right here right now. So that means all of my emotional tissue is focused really on the experience of right here right now. What's the temperature of the air against my skin? What's the barometric pressure? Some of us are more sensitive than others. What does it feel like to have my glasses or my clothing on my body? The experience of the present moment.
Right.
Well, the emotional tissue of the left hemisphere, these are miraculous cells that actually have the capacity to step out of the present moment. Oh my God. Can you imagine? How is it that I can remember what shoes I put on this morning? I mean, this is a miracle. I am a biological cellular creature, and somehow brain cells specifically step out of the consciousness of the present moment and can put me in my past and can project me into the future. And so that left hemisphere has a linearity across time because those cells are capable of doing it. So all of my emotional pain from the past is located in a group of cells in that left hemisphere. Because if I'm in the right here, right now, I don't remember my pain from my past, right? Or my fear of the future. I'm just right here, right now, having an experience in the present moment. And then the other thing is that ego center. Because of the ego center, I become an individual with a past and a future, as opposed to the right hemisphere where I don't have an ego center. I don't have the boundaries of where I begin and end. I'm just a big energy ball in the present moment, having an experience in the present moment. Right. So whole brain living is about helping us get to know the four different parts of the brain, the two thinking and the two emotional groups of cells, what they specialize in, what those skill sets are that they give us, and then they package together like a personality. So we all have four very specific personalities, and some of us can actually recognize, yes, I recognize all four of those personalities. It's not that I have pathology or multiple personality disorder. It's just that I can differentiate the different parts of who I am, and I don't perceive myself to just, have emotional conflict, and I'm not happy because I want this and I want that, and I can't figure it out. And so now I'm torn and blah, 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 blah. No, I can actually differentiate. Okay, this part of me wants this because this is based on its value. It wants me to take that job that's going to pay me more so that I can provide better for my children. But my other hemisphere is saying, but my children are healthy and happy in the bigger picture of where we're living. And now I have to weigh, is more money more important than my children being comfortable in the school that they're in because they're surrounded by people who love them? And so these natural conflicts that we're all managing daily, they begin to make sense. And it's like, okay, well, how do I manage that? How can I get those different parts of me to really have a conversation and come in agreement with one another so that I feel peaceful no matter what decisions I make? And wow, once I feel more peacefulness, that's what I'm projecting into the world. And that's what I'm bringing as this bowl of energy. And the more of us who can differentiate like that, find more peace, project peace into the world, the more peaceful the planet will be.
Exactly. And I love that you brought up the now, because that was a big part of my awakening, understanding many people spend most of their time in that left side of their brain where they're either fretting about what happened in the past or worrying about what's happening in the future. They're not in the now moment. Right. And one of my favorite books is the Eckhart Tolle Power of Now. And I realized at that moment, it's like, how much of my time am I present? How
Yeah.
much of my time am I present in this now moment? And like, okay, in this now moment, is there something horrible happening right in this now moment? No. In this now moment, what am I missing? Because then for me, I feel like life happens in the now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, you can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. The only place you can live is the now. And your power is in that now moment. So,
All of it.
yes, all of it.
Right here, right now. This is the only power I have. This is where I can pray, and the power of prayer is in the present.
Yes,
I communicate in the present. I mean, all of it, everything. My power is right here, right now. It's not in the past, and it's not in the future. So, what am I doing with my present? And if I'm not in the present moment, thinking about present moment things, having a present moment experience, and I'm in the past, I hope I have a really good reason, because I'm missing my life in the present.
exactly, exactly. And I truly believe, and I believe it has been proven scientific. I'm not a scientist, you are the scientist, but I believe this has been proven scientifically. It's that now moment, the energy that you project in that now moment, like you said, peace, love, kindness, that energy that you're projecting in the now moment is going to be the energy that creates the next moment. So
That's
when
right.
we stay in that peace, when we stay in love, and we stay, and when I say love, I'm talking about love for humanity. When we stay in those vibrational energy, we are projecting it out to the universe.
Exactly. And healing happens in the present moment. Love happens in the present moment. I mean, the present moment is life. And then we have this tiny little group of cells that has the power to step us out, but it's designed to protect us. It's not designed to become a lifestyle.
Exactly, exactly. I always ask people to think, because this is what my process was. I started to think, how much time am I present? I did this many years ago, and now I'm like, I try to stay in the present 99% of my day, because of course we make plans, like, okay, I wake up every morning, I start my day off with meditation, but then I make a plan for my day, okay, and if the plan goes that way, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think present moment, living presently in the now moment, understanding the power you have from your emotions in that now moment, I think is so important.
Yeah, because we're not just alone on this planet. We're in relationship with other people. And we either show up for other people in the present moment, or we know they're not there. And
Right.
if they're not there, why am I hanging out? Because if I'm going to show up, I want you to show up too. And I can tell you, and I'm dying to know what your shirt says.
Oh, it says, I am a sovereign divine being of light. I
I
made
love it.
shirts in all different colors as a fundraiser a few years ago, but
I
I
love it.
am
You
sovereign.
You
Yes,
are. I mean, you're
divine.
you're screaming to the world, I'm a big ball of energy in the universe, and people are gonna go, ooh, I want more of that, or what the heck is that? I don't doesn't feel safe. I'm gonna push it away because now I'm in all my judgment about right and wrong and good and bad, and I don't get it, and all that. Or they're going, oh, give me a big hug, girlfriend, because I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so
sure.
good for you for putting it out into the world
Yes.
about your values. You're sharing your values.
Yes. And you're so, what you said about the judgment of right and wrong, because we live, our judgment of right and wrong comes from such a limited spectrum from that left brain. It's like, oh, that's bad, that's good, when it's all one. I mean, I love the yin yang symbol, which
Yeah.
is the light and the dark, because to me that's the perfect symbol of all that is the universe. And there's the absence of light, and then there's the shadow. But I mean, the shadow is the absence of light, but there's light and there's shadow, but it's not separate. It's not separate. And when we use our limited, extremely limited, like I like to say this in my presentations about how science has proven how limited our 5 human senses are. I think it's like 0.035% of what we can actually perceive with
Yeah,
our sight, with our five senses. It's so tiny. It's
I
so
know.
minuscule that if people could realize, wait a second, there's so much more to what's going on than what
Yeah,
I can perceive. So I
right.
cannot judge. I cannot label bad or good because I don't have enough information to label
Yeah.
bad or good.
And that's what that left hemisphere is designed to do. Bring in the data through the senses and then loop on it. Tell a story about it. Use language. Create an individual. This is my story. This is how I learn. This is what I know. This is what I'm all about. But you got to go over there into the present moment,
Right.
right hemisphere consciousness to bring in new information.
Yeah.
So it's in the right hemisphere is where our genius is. It's
Yeah.
where our left hemisphere, where what we already know is. And that's
Exactly.
not growth.
Yeah.
We are biologically programmed to learn new information so that we can grow the story of what
Mhm.
that beautiful left hemisphere does. But if I don't learn anything new, if I don't let in new information, then
Exactly.
I can't grow. And again,
Exactly.
those are tools, very important tools, but it's not a lifestyle.
Exactly. And exactly what you said, because sometimes we allow that left hemisphere to not allow us to learn. Like you said about my shirt. So, and I've gotten so many people have said to me, oh, I love that shirt. Where can I get one? But then I know there are maybe people that read it and just shy away from me, but I don't really know that they're shying away from me because they're shying away from me. So what I'm saying is when we don't allow new information. Okay, like somebody can read my shirt. It's like, what the heck? Come up to me, have a conversation with me, ask me, what do you mean by that?
Right,
Don't if you're shying away from it,
right,
you're
right.
not allowing in the new information.
Right. Well, the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere is designed to save our lives by pushing away and saying no. The
Mm.
right hemisphere is interested in approaching with curiosity.
Yes,
And
yes,
we're wired for both.
yes.
We're wired for both, but based on past experience, if it's caught up in my fear ball or my anger ball or my addiction ball, right? If I'm drinking too much alcohol, I tend to routinize over what I already know. It's not like I'm going out for new information. I'm self-soothing with alcohol, or if I have a drug addiction, I'm not bringing in new important information.
Exactly.
So really looking at what am I as a biological creature? What are my cells doing? What am I doing with my cells? What say do I have in which cells I'm running and who and how I want to be in the world? Well, if I have the ability to take responsibility for all four parts of my brain,
Right.
wow! Now all of a sudden I'm owning my power as a human being because I'm picking and choosing who and how I want to be in any moment. And I want that.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to be caught in my addiction. I don't want to be hear a craving and say, oh, I have to have it. I feel a craving and I say, wow, I'm capable of craving. Isn't that cool? And then I go to work to distract
Mhm.
myself, right? I mean,
Right.
this is how do I live a healthy life by
Yes.
capitalizing on 3/4 of my brain that are healthy as opposed to just putting all my energy into the 1/4 of my brain that tends to want to do things that are like, constricted.
Yeah. I just was thinking about this before we got going because my stomach was growling, but I'm not hungry. Okay.
Yeah.
So my stomach growling is a physical sensation.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and my stomach doesn't growl a lot because I only eat once a day, and that's in the later part of the day. I'm not a morning eater. And so it doesn't normally growl this early in the day. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Okay, there's a difference. I
Yeah.
just thought about this earlier today. There's a difference between hunger and my stomach growling. My
Yeah.
stomach growling is a physical sensation, but
Right.
the hunger comes
Right.
from a mental, it's more of a mental state of being is the hunger. And sometimes people are hungry when their stomach is full. So,
Right.
and
Right.
I think that as pain, I also think of pain and suffering because, yeah, we can feel out. I stubbed my toe. That hurt. That's pain. But
Right.
the suffering is more of a mental,
Right.
um, you know, hanging on to that pain,
Yep.
is the stuff, and we have a choice.
Yeah.
So the hunger and the suffering is a mental choice,
Yeah.
and a different from the physical sensation. And I just kind of put that together
Yeah.
earlier today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right. And I
yeah,
love the example of pain and suffering because, we can be in immense pain and still be okay. Pain is
exactly.
energy. Pain is a group of cells somewhere in the body screaming, saying, hey, we have tissue damage. Okay,
Hmm.
well, I can put tissue damage on the story now and say, oh my God, I just, I hurt my leg. Now I can't go on that hike. And then because I can't go on the hike, then I can't be happy because I wanted to get to the top because I wanted to do this with these people. And so now I'm suffering,
Yes.
right? But with this huge story around, I have an owie. I got a boo boo on my leg, right? And it's like, otherwise, it's like, I got a boo boo on my leg. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit on the paddleboard and get a little sunshine while you people go climb that thing. And I'm going to just kind of bliss out with the universe.
Yes,
I'll
exactly.
see you when you get back. Have a really good time.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And I
Yeah.
do say, I
Choice.
say to people all the time, suffering is a choice.
Yeah.
Pain we feel, yes, but suffering is a choice.
Yeah.
And I, as a mom who both my children are now in spirit, my son transitioned to spirit almost 10 years ago. And it was shortly after his transition, I launched this podcast. And my daughter transitioned a little over a year ago. With both my children in
Wow.
spirit, I could suffer. I could be
Yeah.
in horrible suffering every
Yeah.
single day. But
Yeah.
I know they're not gone. I know they're both with me. I
Yeah.
know that I'm still here for a purpose. And so I am taking them along with me. They're still with me, and I can't see them, talk to them all the time. I
Yeah.
hear them. I hear them in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm taking that what could is a painful situation, but I'm
Right.
not taking it and suffering with it.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's a really beautiful example. My mother saved my life after I had my hemorrhage, and she just, reared me twice, and what a divine human being she was for me, and just my best friend ever. And when she passed unexpectedly, it was like, well, I always thought I'd just be absolutely devastated. And it was like, why am I going to be devastated? I had 56 beautiful years with this human being. Oh my God, what a blessing. And now she's just right here, and she's
Yes.
everywhere. And
Yes.
and I talk to her all the time, and I hear her voice, she'll say, especially when I'm being really cheap, I needed really. And I got a quote on the house, and I'm freaking out, going, oh my God. I literally hear my mother saying, Jill, don't be cheap. Get the damn room. I mean, it's
the
like, of
same,
course I hear that, right?
the same thing. I hear it when my kids are laughing at me, especially my son, who's been in spirit now for almost 10 years. Whenever I was like, stop laughing at your mama.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
No,
I
it
mean,
is.
yeah.
I'm
So
right there with you.
yeah. So it to me that's all comes with the awakening to
Yeah.
who we truly are. When
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
awaken to who we truly are, we can live our soul purpose, why we came here. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And really focus on what we have with gratitude in our hearts for, oh my God, all these people I have known who have passed through my life for a small amount or a long amount, whether they're still on the planet or whether they're in another form. It's like they're here in my heart.
Yes.
And I celebrate that,
Yes.
and that's a choice. And some of us, but the brain, it cells and circuits, and the more you practice something, the
Yes.
stronger that circuit becomes and the easier it becomes. So when you live in a life of gratitude, just really, and this is why people say you should say your prayers at night. Well, why? It's like, Well, because it's strengthening the circuitry of gratitude inside of your brain so that you experience more gratitude during the day for what you have, because it's a choice. Or you
Right.
can look at it and say, well, I have less, or it's gone now, and now I'm not happy about it. And it's like, I don't want to live an unhappy life. I want to live a happy life. So what
Yes.
gets in the way? One, what gets in the way of me living a happy life? And two, how do I reinforce myself having a happy life? So we just have so much more power over what's going on inside of us than we've been taught as a society. But I think you're absolutely right. There's a big shift going on, and people
Yes.
are waking up to an awareness that yes, I can differentiate the different parts of who I am. I can spend more time thinking about and emoting, having emotional experiential about what I want, so that grows in my life. And the other stuff happens, and yeah, the other stuff is happening, but
Yes.
I don't have to focus on that and fuel that.
Right. And also, a practice for me is the morning journaling of gratitude. I have a gratitude journal, and first thing in the morning, I fill a whole page of what I'm thankful for in this now moment.
Good.
I fill a whole page,
Yeah.
and it's for me. I meditate. I meditate more than I pray, because for me, meditation is quieting that left brain, quieting the mind, and listening through my heart center.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why for praying, to me, I think I'm talking to the universe when I'm praying, but when I meditate, I'm listening to the universe. But
Beautiful.
like you're right about the practice. The more just like exercise, the more you do it,
Yeah.
the better you get at it. And so yes, so it's a choice. We have so much more power than society has taught us.
Yeah.
From childhood, we taught, okay, this is how you do this, you do that, you do that, and it doesn't really impose and embrace on you the power
Yeah.
within your choices, and we can how we react or respond to the isness.
Yeah.
It is. So
Yeah.
how do we want to react, or do we want to respond from a peaceful, loving place to
Right.
the isness? Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I'm
So,
right there with you.
yes.
Amen, sister.
And I say for me, there's two places we can respond or react. We can respond from a place of fear,
Yep.
or a place of love.
Yeah.
When we do something, it's either out of fear
Yeah.
or it's out of love.
Yeah.
So we can choose in every now moment, because we can
Mhm.
make that choice in every now moment.
Yeah.
Do I want to respond to this with love or fear?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's simply different circuitry. It
Yes.
really is different circuitry inside of your brain. So to consider that we have a choice. People say, oh, but bad stuff's going to happen all the time, and bad stuff is bad stuff. And it's like, you know we don't know what it is. We're placing a judgment
That's right.
on it as bad stuff. Well, Jill, a tsunami is a tsunami, and it's going to come through and it's going to wipe out a whole bunch of people. And it's like, well, yeah, that is true. But from the bigger picture, you
Mhm.
have to look at humanity and our relationship to the planet. And, we're the only species that doesn't limit how many of us there are in a fixed environment.
Mhm.
So, from the bigger picture perspective, yeah, but that could be you. You could be dead. And it's like, yeah, but I had life. I mean,
Mhm.
simply because I have life doesn't mean I'm supposed to have life for all eternity.
Mhm.
There's always a different way of perceiving. Yeah, but this isn't what I want. And I said, yes, I understand that completely. It's not
Mhm.
what your left brain wants, because the universe revolves around our left hemisphere, me, the my. I'm the
Mhm.
center of the universe. And it's
Right.
like, so I care about that. Um,
Right.
so it's there has to be a willingness to open up the tautness of that me, my, it's all about me and what's best for me. And it's like,
Right.
Well, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
and,
And
not
like,
or.
right. I always say it's always, I always like to say it's and or it's both. But like you said with the okay, life, like what people say death. Death is actually a word that's no longer in my vocabulary. I use the word transition and I say transition to spirit so people understand what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is I have two children and they're both in spirit. I know they're not gone. So when you live life from a bigger picture,
Yeah.
it's that when that limited viewpoint is what
Right.
really kind of trips us up. But knowing that I believe, this is my belief, that every soul comes into this life in perfect divine timing for that soul, and every soul leaves this life experience in perfect divine timing. I also believe it was a soul plan. I believe that my children selected me to be their mom. Before my birth, we planned, okay, mom, we're not going to hang out on that place called Earth as long as you. Okay, you have more to do, but we're going to leave when it's our time to leave. So I think when you look at life from the big picture, it brings a lot of peace
Yeah,
into how you live your life. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and we don't know. And when we're open to possibility, it's like, oh, there's new possibility. And as soon as there's a new possibility, I, in this biological form, am growing.
Yeah.
And my goal in here as life is to continue to grow. Otherwise, why am I here? It's time
Exactly.
for me to fall off the planet, right? Because I'm not growing anymore. I'm not using it anymore. So yeah, no, it's we're just this amazing miracle of life, and when we really live life like we are, it's like I can work with that. I am a magnificent collection of 50 trillion molecular geniuses working
Mhm.
together and for order for me to just sit here and talk to you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, wow.
Yeah.
If that's not a wow, people aren't paying attention. Look in the mirror, and how can you not go wow?
Yes.
When you go wow, everything's different.
Very
It's a
true.
different life when you go wow.
Yes, 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 yes. Living from that wow moment. I try to make every moment a wow moment or a peaceful, calm.
Yeah,
Because for me, it's just that monkey brain can sometimes, and I know when it's like, wait a second, whew, quiet that monkey. I call it the monkey brain.
yep,
Quiet it and take a few deep breaths. That's all I
yeah,
have to do. Whenever I feel like I'm feeling overwhelmed or,
yeah,
I just like, okay, take
right,
deep breaths and come back to center, come back to the now and now. It,
yeah.
it, it changes so quickly. Jill, please tell our audience how they can find you, how they can get your books and all of that. I will have your website link below and your TED Talk below.
Yeah, so I'm at drjilltaylor.com. I'm just easy. We're on the verge of receiving some funding to bring whole brain living into the school systems.
Oh, oh,
That will be fantastic. We're not giving it to the kids, but
right.
we're giving it to the village. We're giving it to the adults, the administrators and teachers, and the parents.
Yeah.
And so if we can help the parents in the village within which the children live,
Yeah.
help them become more aware of their power as a human being, then the children will get it automatically.
Yeah.
So I'm very actively engaged in all of that right now. So I'm easy to find. You go to YouTube, you plug in Jill Bolte Taylor, and 1,000 things come up, and it's exciting and fun, and life is good. And
Yeah.
and this is the song I'm singing while I'm here to sing it. So
And
so there you go.
I love what you just said about bringing it into the schools, your book into the schools, because I mean, quantum physics is over. I mean, I'm talking about the simple core principles of quantum physics is over 100 years old, but it's not really being taught in school.
Yeah.
I was an adult in my 40s when I started watching documentaries on quantum physics, and I'm like, so this stuff, Einstein was teaching this over 100 years ago. We
Yeah.
really should be teaching our children this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're in a new time, new
Yeah.
possibilities, and I'm going to go right back to your shirt. I mean,
Okay.
you're a light in the world, and the beauty of light is that when two lights come together,
Yes.
I don't steal your light, and you don't steal my light. Our
Absolutely.
lights blend, and the flame gets a little bit bigger. And
Yes.
so, as we find one another who are open to possibility, we're just growing the goodness in what we are as humanity, not just as me, the individual. So
Exactly.
what an honor it is for me to be able to sit and chat with you this morning. Thank you, Caroline, for
My
reaching out
honor.
to me.
Yes, all my honor. Thank you. We definitely, I will keep following you, and we will stay in touch. And again, like you said, two lights come together and more and more and more. And I really see that's the future,
Yeah.
that we all as light beings are going to
Yeah.
come together and shine our light together.
Yeah. Thank you so
But
much.
thank
Thank
you so much for all you do.
you.
Love you.
Mwah.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Bye
Thank you.
bye. Bye
Bye bye.
bye for now.